Hi, welcome to Terraform tutorial series. In this video, I am going to talk about variables, loops, and data sources. These concepts are covered in my first video. So this is the code we provisioned in the video 1. So let's see how to parameterize the templates and make it more reusable. If you see this code, so currently we are hard coding region. We are hard coding CIDR block of VPC. We are also hard coding the CIDR block of subnet. So it would be nice if we can parameterize these values with help of variables in Terraform. So let's create a separate file for storing variables. So all the file extensions must be .tf in case of Terraform. The syntax for declaring variable in Terraform is this: variable name. This I wanna store region and its value. So currently the region is this. Let's copy this and keep it here. Coming to Terraform variables, it supports the following variables. Let's go and check the documentation for that. So this is a syntax actually. A variable is a keyword, variable name and its type and its value there. So it supports a string type, it supports map, it also supports a list. So in this example, right, first for region, I wanna declare a variable for storing the string, and even I want to store this CIDR block for my VPC and CIDR block for my subnets. So what I can do is I can declare one more variable here. Variable. I'll call this one as VPC CIDR and the value. Fine. So I want to declare one more variable for subnet. And let me copy paste the subnet CIDR here. Now we need to refer these variables in the template. So for that we have interpolation from Terraform that is done with help of dollar open close curly brace. The syntax is var dot variable name. So this is a variable name for VPC CIDR block. Likewise here also dollar open close curly brace variable dot I think it's subnet CIDR block there. Oh, it's not v subnet, it is subnet CIDR block there. So in the same way I need to replace this region as well. So copy this name, replace this with the interpolation var dot region. So now the template is using variables. So this way we can make our Terraform templates more reusable. Let's save the code and execute. Let's save this variables file. So open the terminal. Our code is saved in Terraform examples. So Terraform apply. It got provisioned. Let's go and check the output in the browser. Let's open VPC and check the results. Yeah, so this is a VPC we just created, and let's also check subnets there. So we should have one subnet which is part of that main VPC. Yeah, that's right. So now we replaced all hard-coded values with variables there. Next requirement is currently we have one subnet. I want to create multiple subnets for each availability zone in this particular region. So we can do that with help of loops using Terraform. So one option, right, we can declare the subnet 3 times. For example, if we have 3 availability zones in this particular region and that's not the right way of doing, we can use a Terraform loops. Using loops we can create multiple resources dynamically. Currently provisioning resources inside US West 2. So what I want to check is how many availability zones are there in this particular region. See here, we have 3 availability zones. I want to create 3 subnets in 3 different availability zones. Let's see how to do this. So come back to the code. So let's go and declare a variable which says AZs, availability zones. The variable type here is list, and this is a syntax of list. So let me put 3 availability zones here. So 2A, 2B, 2C. Right, so let me cross check that. Yeah, it's US West 2A, 2B, 2C. So we declared a variable of type list which contains three entries here. So I want to create 3 subnets for each availability zone in this case. Now let me slightly rename this one. I'm calling it as subnets, and I want to create multiple subnets. So based on the size of this list. So Terraform resources support a variable called as count. So I can't hardcode by putting count equals to 3. I want to make it dynamic. For example, right, in future, in place of 3 availability zones, let's say I have 4 availability zones, I want to create 4 subnets instead of this 3 subnets. So I want to keep it dynamic. So let's say if I put 4 here, again I should modify the code here, but this is not the one I'm expecting. It should be dynamic. So Terraform also supports certain functions using which I can get the size of that variable list. Something like this, Terraform functions. So these are the supported or built-in functions from Terraform. So let's go and check for a function which returns the size of a list. Yeah, so we have a function which is length. So for this function we need to pass a list. This function returns back the size of that list. So here, using interpolation, I need to use this function called as length, and I need to supply the variable which is of type list here. So that can be done like this: var dot aces, var dot aces. So this way, right, it's going to be dynamic, and whenever this count changes, the number of subnets we create also changes. So this I want to test. Let's go and apply the changes. Okay, we got a problem. The problem is we are using a CIDR block, same CIDR block for all 3 subnets. This is a problem. So I need to declare one more variable with multiple CIDR blocks there. So see, this is using a same CIDR block for all the subnets. So we need to make it as list. This is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Let's keep it as 1, 2, 3. Now one more challenge is, in a loop we need to pick these elements one by one. So this is a list. Now we need to pick one element at a time while looping through this particular subnets. So again we need to check for a function which picks an element from the list. So there is a function called as element. Yeah, so it takes two arguments. One argument is a list and the second argument is the index. So let's use this particular function and pick one element at a time from the list. So element, the first argument is going to be the list. This is the list. The second argument must be the index. We can take the current index with help of this count dot index. Right, so we have three availability zones. So it's going to create three subnets because count is going to be 3, plus for all three subnets it has to pick one CIDR block at a time. So in the loop, in the first iteration, count dot index is going to be 0. It picks the first one. In the second iteration, the count dot index is going to be 1. It picks second one and third one and so on. So it dynamically picks one element at a time from this list. Let's try to apply the code. It has created successfully all the subnets. Let's go and verify that. Let's open VPC. Let's open subnets. Yeah, so main is a VPC, so we can see three different subnets which is associated with the main with three different CIDR blocks there. And we have one more problem. The name is same. The name is given same for all three subnets. Even I want to make these changes dynamically. I want to make it as subnet 1, 2, 3 and so on. Let's see how to do that. So what we can do is we can use this count variable and we can make it dynamic. So I'm putting again the interpolation here. So count dot index. So as we know, index begins with 0, but I want to put something like this. So index plus 1. So it begins with 0. So 0 plus 1 is going to be 1, 2, 3 and so on. Let's apply the changes and see whether it's changing the names according to the loop. It's exactly changing the tags. Earlier it was subnet 1 for all three subnets. Now it's making it as subnet 1, 2, 3. Let's go and check that one. So refresh. Yeah, that's working fine. See, with main we have subnet 1, with main we have subnet 2 and subnet 3. Okay, everything is fine. I do see one more static variable here, the availability zone, right? So currently it is again hard coded. For example, if I choose a different region, these values are invalid. So again, whenever I change my region, I am forced to change this list actually. If there is a way we can get this list dynamically, so based on the current region, even that would be better. So that can be done with help of Terraform data sources. Terraform provides different data sources using which we can get certain information dynamically based on the region in which we are provisioning our infrastructure. Let's check that. Yeah, I am directly getting into Terraform data availability zones. Say this is how we declare a data source. The syntax is data. This is the type of data we're looking for and its logical name. So take this code, you can declare it in a separate file which contains all data sources, or you can declare it under variables also. It's your choice, right? Let me call this one as ASIS. So for now I want to comment this particular variable because, right, this contains static values, and I want to replace this one with dynamic values. It can be done with help of data sources in Terraform. This is the type of data source we are looking for. So what Terraform does, it dynamically picks all the availability zones in the current region. If I change this region, and it picks all the availability zones in that region. Now I want to use this in the code. So here, so the syntax for using it, let me show it here. See, data dot the type of data source dot its logical name dot names, which gives the availability zone names. If you want to pick one entry from that, it's indexed there. So let me copy paste this complete syntax and paste it here. This must be ASIS. This must be ASIS. Now it should work in the same way it worked before. Yeah, so because we didn't add any resources, we just modified a certain variable, so everything remains same. So 0 to add, 0 to change, and 0 to destroy. Okay, so now it looks little dynamic for us. Whenever we change this region, this list automatically changes. Okay, so we covered loops, which is using count variable. We also covered data sources, where we are using a data source to get availability zones dynamically. We also covered variables, and the next one we are going to cover in this video is, see, currently all the subnets are getting created in same availability zone. Let's check that. Let me filter based on main here. See that, so everything is getting created in 2b, but I want them to be created in different availability zones like 2a, 2b, and 2c. Let's see how to change the code to achieve this. Go and check the documentation. For subnet resource, there is an attribute called as availability zone. So I want to use this attribute, and I want to put my subnets in different availability zones. Let's copy paste this. But again, right, in a loop we need to pick this value one by one, because we have a data source which returns back availability zones. So from this list we have to pick one element at a time. We can use a same syntax with different arguments to that, right? So this is going to give the availability zone names. That's a list. This is the list, and from this list we are using a index. So internally it's going to give us three different entries. So index 0, 2a, index 1, 2b, index 2, 2c. So it's going to pick different availability zones for different subnets. Let's try to apply the changes and see the results. If you check, right, it is trying to destroy the previous subnets, because once the subnet is created, if you want to change its availability zone, there is no option to do that. The only option is delete the old subnets and freshly create new ones. So that is what it did actually here. Say this. So refresh. Now verify the results. Each subnet is created in its own or different availability zone, like 2A, 2B and 2C. So thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe for more updates and more videos.